Geeta, the champion of the Paldea region in Pokémon Scarlet and Violet, was no surprise, as we had been introduced to her in a trailer over the summer and she made some earlier appearances throughout the game. But was all of the build-up worth it? Not really. Boy oh boy, this has been an interesting champion battle to go through and hear about here on the internet. The memes have given us the consensus: Geeta is not the best champion. Though her overall design feels a bit underwhelming with little to stand out, she still held the air of someone extremely competent and in charge, standing proud as the top champion of the region and giving the hope of a good fight. Though I think Pokemon Scarlet and Violet had so many other characters with even more memorable designs and fun personalities in their challenges that it was difficult for the stoic and sensible mentor character to feel impactful next to them. There is also the fact that the battle against her didn't feel very challenging. Even hearing this opinion from other people was a little surprising because for a moment I thought for sure it was solely my experience. And even then it kind of goes along with how Scarlet and Violet felt to me. This game did not feel difficult at all, somehow because of its non-linearity. Because there was no set order to challenge the gyms or titans and team star bases, I found myself severely underleveled on the path I ended up choosing. However, I was able to overcome that quickly by powering through, which then resulted in my team of Pokemon being overleveled for every other subsequent challenge. By the time I reached the Pokemon League, I think I had trained a little too much, so I already had a big level advantage over Geeta, and her poor team never stood a chance. And boy, speaking of that team, what happened here? First of all, we've got these two Gen 6 dudes here, Go-Go and Avalugg. While cool Pokemon, especially with the recent Noble Hisuian Avalugg, these guys just don't do a whole lot. They don't have the raw stats to back them up. While they have decent offense, there's not a lot of speed behind them and their movesets don't allow for anything too challenging. Espathra and Veluza are okay, but it's really King Gambit and Glimmora that carry her team. But they are still two of the biggest missed opportunities I've ever seen. So Glimmora is meant to be her ace Pokemon, and I think that's a cool enough idea. It's a unique Pokemon and it fits her thematically, basically being the embodiment of terastallization. It is honestly a pretty good Pokemon. Its ability, Toxic Debris, spreads toxic spikes on the opponent's field when it's hit by a physical move. A great ability, but it's practically useless when it's your very last Pokemon. Dude, even Clara knew to set up toxic spikes at the beginning of a battle. Like, I thought this was such a cool idea that I decided to use a Glimmora as my lead Pokemon because I needed another solid special attacker on my team. The absolute dramatic irony of me walking right up to Geeta and leading with a Glimmora not knowing it was supposed to be her ace Pokemon. She was completely devastated. And then there's King Gambit, who has a great ability if it's the last Pokemon you use in battle, so that would have worked better as her ace Pokemon. Her team is just anti-synergy. I feel as if every character had their team built first and then they just gave Geeta whatever Pokemon were left, even though there were a lot of other pretty useful and interesting Pokemon they could have used. You know how crazy it would have been if she had like a Goldango? To get to this point in the game, likely never having seen one yourself or never collected enough Gimmighoul coins, and yet she has one just to flex on you? That would be sick. I am genuinely surprised that she didn't have a Baxcalibur, the big bad pseudo-legendary of the game. That would have been such an easy swap for Avalugg. Of course, I don't mean to completely put down Geeta or even say that the game lacks a meaningful climax, because even after we become a champion ranked trainer, we have our true final battle against Nemona, and she puts up a much better fight, being the true conclusion to the Victory Road storyline, and Geeta definitely has a certain kind of presence. See, while Geeta seems like the kind of champion who really wants the trainers of the region to become great, even coming to meet us face to face, she somehow feels like the most distant. I think that's by design though. For one thing, the Pokemon League feels extremely impersonal, requiring a formal interview to enter and having most battles take place in the same plain room. Add the fact that in an earlier patch of the game, there was a glitch that caused the battle theme to not play properly, instead looping the first 5 seconds for the entire battle. I honestly thought this was intentional at first because it actually fit the theming that was set up during the process. I thought the entire thing was supposed to feel cold, intimidating, impersonal, and off-putting. The same thing happened for Geeta's battle theme, which I ended up listening to in its full glory later on, and oh my gosh, early adopters were robbed of this amazing battle theme. But that's the crazy thing, the scary, boring music actually fits. And combine that with the fact that a good amount of gym leaders actually aren't too fond of Geeta as the one running the Pokemon League, with the mandates and the rules that she puts in place. This whole idea of requiring other gym leaders to hold back their potential or restricting them in their hobbies and passions, and making the champion assessment process an interview with no flair just feels very anti-Pokemon, especially in a game where there's an emphasis on freedom. I don't really mean this as a way to say this is a bad thing. I'm just saying that this is the type of character and setting that you would build up for a villain or antagonist. We have seen similar things before in Pokemon. I'm just saying that it's kind of a strange way to establish the champion of a Pokemon game. I honestly kind of thought she'd end up having some sort of twist reveal near the end of the game, but I guess not. We'll see if there's any announcement for DLC in the future that might add to the story, but who knows. Bit of an add-on, I saw Not So Ace Trainer recently uploaded a relevant video, so check that out afterwards. But I mean, everything about Gita is up to your own opinion, except when it comes to the statistical makeup of her Pokemon team. So let me know what you think. Like I said, I think she's a relatively forgettable and a little poorly implemented part of an otherwise fun game. It just feels very strange. There's something going on here that just isn't right. It's all just a little sus. Anyway, just wanted to talk about this champion, and what better time as I've been sitting on the script for a week only to be delayed by the common cold. The point is, I feel much better now, though I can't say the same for Champion Gita. Thank you to every channel member for your continued support, especially the great Gators: Jackson, Justin R, Cosmo Zero, Phantom Pyro, Quago, Volity, and Pastel Blood. If you would like to support, get a shout out here, and access to emotes for comments and live streams, you can become a channel member as well. You can also follow me on Twitter for more memes. But anyway, this has been GatorEX. I'll catch you all later.
All new amazing Pokémon. New ways to battle. And new legendary Pokémon. It's Pokémon X and Pokémon Y, exclusively for Nintendo 3DS and 2DS. Rated every one.